The knock came just as I was setting my mug down. Not the usual buzz of the intercom. Not the polite ping from a neighbor. It was a knock, slow, deliberate, and oddly formal. My cabin sat on the edge of the crater district on Titan's sixth dome. No one knocked anymore. The last time I'd heard that sound, it had been 3 years ago, back on the rim world of Zeral Prime. Right before I changed the course of a life forever. I rose, hesitant, my fingers brushing the sidearms stashed in the table drawer. Old habits from my mercenary days died hard. The door's camera feed flickered on, and I stared in disbelief. Standing outside was a woman with eyes like molten violet. Her skin a pale shimmer that caught the synthetic lights of the dome above. She wore robes of black and gold that sparkled like a starfield, and behind her floated a luxury transport unlike anything I'd seen in this sector. Aerodynamic fins, polished chrome hull, personalized crest on the side. The kind of ship that made senators jealous. It was her. Kale. Her voice came through the intercom, soft and unhurried. "May I come in?" 3 years ago, I hadn't expected to be anyone's savior. I was on Zeral Prime to help a mining crew extract illegal plasma stones. High-risk job, decent pay. What the client didn't tell me was that the mines doubled as trafficking routes for off-record slave trades. Not unusual in the Outer Rim, sadly. That's when I found her. She was chained in a cell barely large enough to crouch in. First I thought she was dead. Pale, beaten, unconscious. Her markings, delicate etchings that ran along her temples and jawline, were traditional Elvari, a species known for their rigid caste systems and brutal treatment of defectors. She wasn't just any Elvari. She was a highborn, based on the symmetry of her markings and the silver threads braided into her now matted hair. I didn't think. Acted. Shot 2 guards, disabled the holding field, and carried her out. When she awoke, she looked at me like I was a monster. "I am broken caste," she said through cracked lips. "If you take me, you will carry shame." "I've carried worse," I replied. She didn't tell me her name, but she held my hand when we crossed the border into neutral space. I got her to a medical station, left enough credits to cover healing, and walked away. I figured she'd vanish. She was free, that was all that mattered. Back in the present, I opened the door. The woman stepped inside, her perfume soft, alien, familiar. She studied me for a moment with those hypnotic violet eyes. "You haven't changed," she said, offering a smile. "I stopped trying a long time ago." I motioned toward the couch. "What's your name this time?" She laughed, clear and confident. Still cautious. "I like that." Then more gently. "My name is Lishera." "I figured you'd change it," I replied, settling across from her. She studied my modest living space. Metal walls, a flickering holopaint of a forest I'd never visited, and a shelf lined with old gear and forgotten medals. Her presence felt out of place, like a queen visiting a hermit. "I searched for you for 2 years," she said. "Your records were sealed. But Titan was always rumored to be a good hiding place for those who'd seen too much. Didn't expect you to come looking. I owed you more than my life, Kale." Lishera poured herself a drink, my cheap synth whiskey, and sipped it like it was vintage nectar. "You knew I was noble-born," she said. "But not who I was." I raised a brow. "My name, my true name, is Lishera Six Telenari. First daughter of the Telenari ascendancy. Once heir to the celestial court of Elveran Prime." I nearly choked. That name hadn't been heard in decades. The Telenari family had supposedly been wiped out in the Blood Reformation, a political purge after the ascendancy collapsed. "You're dead," I said. "I was," she smiled. "To the galaxy. To my people. But you. You gave me the chance to rise again. Lysshara leaned forward, her voice a whisper. I didn't just survive, Kale. I rebuilt. I contacted loyalists. I forged alliances. I now command a coalition of independent systems on the Elvari border. We're weeks from a formal declaration. I stared stunned. She continued. You see, I was never truly broken caste. I faked my defection, hoping to root out the traitors within. But they turned on me, sold me off-world as a message. They thought I'd die in a mine like some wretch. And I plucked you out. You gave me time. You gave me hope. She looked at me now with more than admiration. And I came here to ask for something selfish. Tensed. Go on. Lysshara stood, drawing closer. I want you to come with me. And blinked. She nodded. Join me. Not as a soldier or servant. As an equal. You're respected by mercenaries across 5 systems. Your name alone could rally thousands. But more than that, I want you beside me. I don't belong in royal courts, Lys. This isn't about thrones or crowns. It's about finishing something you started. I glanced away, uneasy. I've seen too much. Fought too many dirty wars. I'm not the man I was. She stepped closer, her fingers brushing mine. Then be something new. With me. The room was quiet except for the distant hum of her luxury craft outside. Later that night, I found myself walking the edge of Titan's dome, the false stars glittering above. My mind raced. Could I really leave this behind? Then I remembered her words. You gave me hope. 3 years ago, I thought I'd freed a broken woman. Turns out, I'd rescued a future ruler. When I returned to the cabin, she was sitting silently, watching the fake forest shimmer on the wall. I'll go, I said. Lysshara stood slowly, regal yet warm, and extended her hand. Then everything I have, she said softly, is yours. Epilogue. The skies above Elvaran Prime blazed with ceremonial flares as the coalition assembled. I stood beside Lysshara on the observation deck of her new flagship, the Valiant Echo, a ship she named in my honor. She addressed the galaxy with poise, strength, and fire. Queen reborn. And at her side stood a human, scarred, grizzled, and utterly loyal. Not as her knight, but as her equal. And when the last words of her speech echoed into silence, she turned to me and whispered the very thing that would become legend. You freed me once. Now I will give you everything.